This is the most powerful AI video generator you can use offline. It's called VACE by Alibaba, and this is completely free and open source. And this uses Alibaba's Wan 2.1, which is the best open source video generator you can use right now. In fact, it's one of the best generators out there, period. It's also the most uncensored, so you can generate the wildest things you can imagine. Now, a few days ago, they finally released the full version of VACE. So that's exactly what we're going to go over in this video. I'm going to show you how to install this and use it locally for unlimited times on your computer, even if you have low VRAM. First, just to show you how powerful this is, you can completely control the movement and the characters of your generation. So here are some of the generations I made just with my laptop and a mediocre GPU. I can input this reference video of these ladies dancing, and I can basically transfer these movements onto a new video of cats dancing. Or instead of cats, I can also generate bears dancing like this. Or instead of that, I can also generate these ladies wearing bikinis at the beach. Or I can also upload a reference image like this, and it can also transfer the movements from the reference video onto the characters in this image. As you can see, with this tool, you can easily generate videos with consistent characters doing anything you want. You just need an image of your character and a reference video with the movements you want to transfer over. Here's another example. Let's say I have this original boxing video. Well, I can input this reference image of two guys in suits having a fight, and then after plugging it through VACE, I can basically transfer the movements of the boxing video onto this fight scene. Or instead of two guys in suits, I can also turn this into anime style with two girls with pink hair and maid outfits fighting. Or instead of anime, I can also do a 3D Pixar style. So here's an example of two Kung Fu masters fighting, and notice that they have exactly the same movements as the reference video. Or here's another example. Here's an original drone video of a city. I can turn this into a cyberpunk city at night with neon signs like this, or an abandoned city that's overgrown with plants. Alright, so those were just some quick demos. Next, I'm going to show you step by step how to install this on your computer and how to use all its capabilities, including text to video, image to video, and reference video to video. I'm going to show you exactly how I made these demos. Now, I already mentioned VACE when it first came out a few weeks ago. This is basically an all-in-one video editor, which is incredibly flexible. And if you look at their GitHub, just a few days ago, they've released the full version of VACE. And this includes the one with 14 billion parameters, which allows you to generate videos of up to 1280 by 720 resolution. However, note that this full version does require around 80 gigabytes of VRAM, which I'm sure most of you do not have. Fortunately, there's already a quantized version of this by QuantStack, and I'll link to this page in the description below, and there are various models you can download based on your VRAM. So it seems like you can use this with as low as 8 gigabytes of VRAM. For me, since I have 16 gigabytes, I'm going to use this Q6 version, which seems to require only 14.5 gigabytes. One more thing to note before we proceed with the installation is that you do need Comfy UI to run this. If you have no idea what this is, definitely see this video where I go over step by step how to install and use Comfy UI. Even though at first this might seem really complicated with all these nodes and noodles, you don't actually have to build any of this. It's actually really easy to use once you get the hang of it. So don't be intimidated. See this video if you want to learn how to use it. Anyways, for this video, I'm going to assume you already have Comfy UI installed. So I'm going to click on Files and Versions, and I'm going to download this one, VACE 14B Q6. You can choose to use another model depending on the size of your VRAM. Anyways, I'm going to click Download, and this goes in my Comfy UI folder in Models and then in UNet. So let's click Save. Notice that this is 14.5 gigabytes, so it's going to take a while to download. Now, the nice thing about Comfy UI is you don't need to program all these components and noodles from scratch. So you can just drag and drop an existing workflow onto here. In fact, going back to this Hugging Face page by QuantStack, you can see that they already have an example workflow. So over here at the bottom, we have this v2v example workflow.json file. So let's click on this. And you can save this wherever you want. I'm just going to save it in my Comfy UI folder. All right. Afterwards, I'm going to open up Comfy UI and notice that I'm using an RTX 5000 Ada, which has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And afterwards, all we need to do is drag and drop this VACE workflow file, which we just downloaded, onto our canvas. Now, the first time you open this up, you might see a ton of missing nodes, which are highlighted in red here. So what you need to do is open up Manager and then click on Install Missing Custom Nodes. Notice that we have a ton of these nodes that are required for this workflow to run. So I'm going to go ahead and install each of these. All right, and then next we have this one. Now notice that you might have a different list of missing nodes depending on what you already have installed on Comfy UI. But just make sure after you drop the workflow onto here that you install all these missing nodes. And then for this one, it says I need to update this, so let's click Try Update. And then finally we have this last one, gguf node for Comfy UI. Let's click Install for that as well. All right, and then afterwards you should see that we have installed everything and it requires that we restart Comfy UI. So let's click on Restart and then click OK. And when I open up my terminal, notice that it's now proceeding to install all of these wheels online. So this is going to take a while depending on the speed of your internet connection. All right, so after downloading all these wheels and missing nodes, we have now restarted Comfy UI and we only have one missing node here, which is this multi-GPU node, and it seems like it doesn't auto-detect this, so you'll need to click on Custom Nodes Manager and then search for multi-GPU. So let's click Install for this as well, and then click Restart. All right, perfect. If you look at the workflow, we should not have any missing nodes. Now, there are a few additional things you need to change in order to get this to work. So first of all, here under the model selector is where you would select the VACE model that you just downloaded. In my case, it's going to be this Q6 version. So I'm going to select this. And then here, you can also toggle this on and this off. And this node is useful if you have low VRAM, but high RAM. So for example, if you only have like 8 gigabytes of VRAM for your GPU, but you have like 64 gigabytes of RAM on your computer, well, you can kind of offset some of the computing to your RAM. So again, here is where you would select your VACE model that you just downloaded. And then here is where you would specify how much VRAM you have on your GPU. So for example, you can put 8, and then for the rest of it, it's going to try to offset this to your computer RAM. However, for me, since I do have 16 gigabytes, I think just using this normal one would be good enough for me. Thanks to Noda for sponsoring this video. Noda is a super useful AI note taker. It can automatically transcribe, summarize, and organize spoken content into actionable text. Whether it's business meetings, lectures, or casual discussions, Noda ensures that no important detail is lost. You can focus on meaningful discussions without the distraction of manual note-taking. With support for platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, and WebEx, you can seamlessly integrate Noda into your workflow. You can summarize meetings in real time or transcribe any audio or video. Plus, you can summarize meetings with just one click to easily extract key points and action items from the call. Did you forget about something that was mentioned last month? No worries, because you can just search using the Noda AI chat. This is also perfect for consultants, sales reps, and customer support. For consultants, you can effortlessly document client meetings and streamline follow-ups. Sales professionals can use it to track customer interactions, extract key insights, and refine their pitches. It's also great for students who can use Noda to record, transcribe, and summarize lectures. Noda is a must-have tool for anyone looking to boost productivity and organization. Try it for free via the link in the description below. And then over here, this is an optional step, but this makes your generation a hell of a lot faster. So you can also toggle this on, and for this you need to download an additional LoRa called this Wan 2.1 CosVid 14B LoRa. There's already a very convenient link over here. You simply need to click on this, and this will download this LoRa, which goes in your Comfy UI folder, and then in Models, and then in LoRa's. You can see I already have this over here. So again, this step is optional. You can leave it off, but if you leave it on, it's going to make your generation like around 4 times faster. And then over here, you also need to download an extra encoder called UMT5XXL. The nice thing is this person has already provided the download links for you over here. So you need to select the encoder file based on the model that you downloaded. So for us, because we've downloaded a GGUF version, we need to click on this, which will open this Hugging Face space. And for me, I downloaded the Q6 version, so I need to download this Q6 encoder. So I'm going to click download for this one, and this goes in your Comfy UI folder, in models, and then in text encoders. You can see I already have this over here. And then finally, you also need to download the VAE if you don't have this already. So again, the nice thing is the link is conveniently over here. So you can click on this, and this prompts you to download this VAE, which goes in Comfy UI, in models, and then in VAE. You can see that I already have this over here. Alright, so after you've downloaded all 4 things, the quantized version of VACE, the VAE, the text encoder, and this CosVid LoRa, which is optional, make sure you actually click on each one and select the model that you downloaded. So I'm gonna select my CosVid one over here, and then for this encoder, I'm going to select this Q6 one over here, and then for VAE, I'm going to select Wan 2.1. By the way, if you don't see your downloaded model in this dropdown, simply press R, which is going to scan all the models that you downloaded and refresh these dropdown lists. Now, there are actually 3 things you can do with this workflow. You can do a simple text prompt to video, or you can upload a reference image and generate a video from that, or you can also use a reference video to transfer the movements onto your new video. I'll show you all of these steps right now. First, let's go over text to video. So since we're only using a text prompt, we don't actually need this reference image option, nor do we need these reference video nodes over here. So what I'm going to do is hold down Control and then drag over all these components and then press Control B to bypass these components. So basically, when we run this workflow, it's going to ignore this component where we upload a reference image and this component where we upload a reference video. We are only generating a video using this text prompt. So next, let's just do a really simple text prompt, like the girl is dancing in a sea of flowers, slowly moving her hands. And then over here, if you're just doing text to video, you can also specify the width and height over here. So in order to do that, you do need to disconnect these noodles. So let me just disconnect these two so that we can adjust the width and height. And because VACE 14B can generate up to 1280 by 720, let's actually do this. I'm going to set this to 1280 by 720. And then the length of your video is basically how long you want the video to be. So right now this is 81 frames divided by 16 frames per second over here, which is roughly... I can't do public math. Let's just plug this in Google and we get 5 seconds. Now to make this a bit faster, let's just set this to like 49 for example, which should give us around 3 seconds of video. And then it plugs this into this K-sampler component, which basically generates the video. Now there are a few more things you need to note. So for number of steps, basically this is how many iterations you want the AI to go through before giving you the output video. So in general, the more steps you have, the higher quality the video will be. But at a certain point, you're going to get diminishing returns. So it seems like the sweet spot here is 20 steps. And if you want to make this a bit faster, you can also decrease the step count to like 15, for example, to make this run faster at the sacrifice of some quality. And then CFG is how literally you want the AI to follow your prompt over here. So if you have a high CFG value, it's going to follow this prompt really literally, whereas if you have a low CFG value, it can be more creative and add some elements in the video which you have not specified. And then the sampler name, this is just the algorithm that's used to generate the video. And then seed is also really important. This is basically the starting point. So if you have all the settings the same and you keep the same seed, you're gonna generate the exact same video as before. If you want a slightly different video, you can set this to randomize. But for now, I'm just gonna leave this as fixed. And then one more important thing to note, is this note over here. Because we have turned on this CosVid LoRa, which helps us speed up our generation, we actually don't need to run this for as many steps. So it says over here, just 4 to 6 steps is fine. Plus, we also need to set the CFG to 1. So let's set the step count to 4 and then the CFG to 1. And this is especially important if you have a GPU with low VRAM. This CosVid LoRa is a lifesaver and it's going to speed up your generation by a lot. And that's pretty much it. So let's click run and see what that gives us. And afterwards, here we go. Indeed, we have a girl dancing in a sea of flowers, slowly moving her hands. And note that because save output is set to true here, it automatically saves your video in your Comfy UI folder and then in output. So you can see your output over here. Now that's just text to video, which isn't too impressive. Obviously, image to video would be even better because you can upload a reference image, which gives you ultimate control over the setting or the character. So let's do this right now. Now for just image to video, we are going to click on this node and then press Ctrl B to unbypass it. And then here is where you would upload the image to use as reference. So I'm gonna upload this image over here. And note that you can see the dimensions are 1312 by 736. Now over here is where you can adjust the width and the height of your output video. Notice that if this is smaller than the dimensions of your input image, it's basically going to crop the video to fit these dimensions. Other than that, everything else remains the same. For the prompt, let's input a really simple one like "she is talking." In fact, just to show you what I mean by the video being cropped to whatever you specify here, let's actually set this to a square video instead. So it's going to be 720 by 720. Notice that when I press run, it's going to crop this into a square video. So let's press run and let's see what that gives us. And here's our final result. So you can see that because we set it to 720 by 720, it has cropped this into a square. Now, image to video is still a pretty basic feature. VACE can do a lot more than that. So instead of just image to video, what we're going to do now is upload a reference video. So I'm going to hold down Control and drag a box over all these nodes, which we have bypassed, and then I'm going to press Control B to unbypass them. Now, there are several things here we need to note. First of all, here is where you would upload a reference video, and it's basically going to transfer the movements of that video onto your new video. So for example, let's upload this video of these 3 ladies dancing, and then here is where you would set the width and height of the video. Now remember, if you're actually using this step, then you need to reconnect the width and height over to your K sampler. Now, this is where it gets a bit more complicated. So you need to first convert your video into a ControlNet video. In other words, you need to first pre-process your video into something like a pose map or a depth map or an edge map. For example, if this is your input video, we can pass this through a pose preprocessor to convert it into something like this. And this is going to guide your output video. Now, by default, it's using this canny preprocessor, which is just going to extract the edges of these dancers. And by the way, this does require you to have Comfy UI ControlNet Auxiliary installed. I already have it, so I don't get any errors here, but if you don't, simply click on Manager and then in Custom Nodes Manager, search for ControlNet Auxiliary, and you should get this. Notice that I already have this installed, but if you don't, make sure you install this. Anyways, let's say I just want to transfer their movements, in other words, the poses of these dancers, and I want to get like 3 cats to dance. Well, instead of canny, which just extracts the edges, a better one to use would be a pose estimator. So I'm going to double click anywhere here to create a new node, and then I'm going to write pose. And let's go with this one, open pose. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to disconnect this noodle from this canny node and reconnect it to this open pose node. And then we also need to disconnect this preview image over here and then reconnect it to this image connector over here. And then finally, this canny node also connects to this control video, so let's get rid of that. And then let's drag a connector from this open pose image to control video like this. So basically, instead of the default canny, we've replaced it with open pose, which is gonna create a pose video from this. In fact, you're gonna see what the pose video looks like in this preview window over here. And that's about it. Now, to keep it simple for now, I'm not going to upload a reference image. I'm gonna click on this and then click bypass. So we're only going to create a video using a text prompt, but the movement of the video is going to be based on this reference video. Now, because this is horizontal, I think it's like 16:9, let's set the width here to 1280, and the height we can leave it at 720. And then for the prompt, let's write 3 cats are dancing. And that's pretty much it. And then for the length, I think this is a bit longer, so let's set this to like 61 frames. Alright, let's click run and fingers crossed, let's hope this works. Now, as you can see, first of all, our reference video is being sent into this open pose estimator to convert this into a pose video. And this is going to take a while. And you can see the progress over here. After that step is done, you can see the preview poses over here. So here are the frames of our reference video, but converted into pose skeletons like this. So it's now going to take this pose video and generate a video from that based on our prompt, which is 3 cats are dancing. Alright, and here is what we get. So let me just drag the reference video over here so you can compare and contrast. And this looks beautiful. Indeed, we have 3 cats dancing, and the dance is exactly like the reference video. How cool is that? Now, instead of cats, here are some other examples that I tried out. So if the prompt is 3 bears are dancing realistic, and I use the same reference video, this is what I get. So actually, let me drag the reference video over here so you can see this side by side. And again, it doesn't matter if it's cats or bears. Notice that the output video follows the exact dance movements of the reference video. So this is a super powerful tool that gives you absolute control over the movements of things in your video. Another thing I tried was this. 3 beautiful women wearing bikini at the beach dancing. And here is what we get. These are indeed 3 women wearing bikinis at the beach, and they are following the dance movements exactly like the reference video. How cool is that? Here's yet another example. Let's say I upload this video of a dude surfing, and then for the text prompt, if I put a Japanese girl in a kimono snowboarding, here is what we get. Again, notice that the pose of this girl is exactly like the pose of the surfer in the reference video. It's just that instead of the dude surfing, it's now a Japanese girl snowboarding. So this is a super flexible tool. Alright, now the final thing I want to show you is that you can upload a reference image of any characters you want, and then combine that with a reference video. So I'm going to click on this, and then press Ctrl B to unbypass this. And then for the image, I'm going to upload, let's say, these 3 anime girls dancing. And basically, I want them to dance like this reference video. So I'm pretty much going to leave all the settings the same. Again, here is where you would specify the width and the height of your final video. And that's what I want. I want this to be 1280 by 720. And then over here for the positive prompt, I simply describe what I want to see in the video. So for example, the girls are dancing. And that's pretty much it. Let's click run and see what that gives us. Alright, and here's what we get. So again, let me just drag the reference video over here, and let me drag the reference image over here as well so you can see the references and the final output side by side. And indeed, the anime girls look exactly like the reference image, and they are dancing exactly like the video. Now, there are some flaws with this, especially with the hands and fingers. It might be because I'm running pretty low VRAM. I think if you increase the number of steps, or if you disable the CauseVid option, or if you use a less quantized model, then the quality is going to be a bit better. But for low VRAM, you can see that, the output is not bad. This is such a powerful tool. Not only can you add a reference video, but you can also add in reference images of any character you want and get them to move according to the video, which gives you ultimate control over your output video. Alright, next, let's try another example. I'm gonna upload this image of a fight scene, and then for the reference video, I'm gonna upload this boxing match. And then for the prompt, I'm just going to write, "They are fighting." Now, because this is a horizontal video, I'm just going to keep this as 1280 by 720. For the length, I'm going to keep it at 61 frames divided by 16 frames, which should be around 4 seconds. And that's pretty much it. Let's click run and wait for this to generate. Alright, perfect. So again, let me just drag the reference video and the reference image over here so you can view the references and the final output side by side. And note that it follows the reference image and the movements of the reference video exactly. With this, you can easily create high action scenes including fighting, dancing, or whatever you want. Plus, you can create videos with consistent characters by uploading reference images of these characters. And you can completely control the movement of them with a reference video. Like I said, this uses Wan 2.1, which is currently the best open source video generator out there. Heck, it even beats some closed source models like OpenAI's Sora. And that sums up how to use VACE on Comfy UI. Now, if you look at the official VACE page, note that they have other features like in-painting, where you can replace a certain element of a video with something else, or out-painting, where you can extend the edges of a video like this. Or it can also do reference to video, where you upload multiple images of characters or objects which you want to insert in the video. However, note that for now, while there are some unofficial Comfy UI workflows for these features, note that at least on the official Comfy UI documentation page, there are no workflows for these features yet. They only have what I showed you today, which is text to video, and then image to video, and then reference video to video. I'm sure they are working hard to create these additional features as we speak, so stay tuned for that. But just note that as of now, there are no official Comfy UI workflows for these additional functions. Anyways, that sums up my review and tutorial of VACE 14b. Notice that this GGUF version can run on as low as 8 GB of VRAM, so it should be accessible to a lot of people. If you run into any errors during the installation, welcome to copy and paste the error message in the comments below, and I'll try to help you troubleshoot as much as possible. By the way, if you want to win the exact laptop that I personally use to run these AI tools, it's a Dell Precision 5690 with an RTX 5000 Ada. And I'm partnering with Dell Technologies to give away the same laptop to a lucky winner. I'll have a link for the giveaway in the description below. Terms and conditions apply.